kicking.
Why Northern Beaches? That's what we're going to talk about on Morning Minutes with myself, Michael Burgess, and Mark Novak. This was an interesting one. We live on the Northern Beaches. We love the Northern Beaches. But why do people invest here? And the one thing we're having a chat just before in our very long preparation for each show was the typical reasons why people look at areas to invest. The Northern Beaches doesn't really have it, does it, Mark? Your typical, the infrastructure, the education, the transport.
Well, it doesn't have the train line, which is the obvious wannabe should have thing that you'd expect. Hey.
Oh, sorry. Speaker.
But
yes.
Having said that, I think, look, at the end of the day, we're very, very thankful for the beaches. We've been brought up on the beaches, and it's been great. And we've been our community, serving our community, our agency for almost 20 years, and it's been just an incredible place to live and work and everything. And we thought we'd owe it to the beaches, the community, just to give it a bit of a plug.
Yeah, 100%. So anyone out, maybe not from the Northern Beaches, thinking, where should I invest? Why should I invest in the Northern Beaches? And also, just we'll share some key principles to look at. Especially, a lot of people like investing out of the area for some reason. I think our most successful clients have always sort of invested under their nose because that's what they're familiar with. They're familiar with trends.
Yeah,
with trends, because Mark, especially in DY, there are micro markets within the market. Like, for example, if you're on the western side of Pittwater Road, the same property on the eastern side down in Castor Street can be $100,000 difference. But from the outside looking in, you may not know that. So that's why we recommend it.
And guys, if you don't know where the Northern Beaches is, if you're watching and you're from out of the beaches, where we are is basically from Sydney CBD, because I know we've got a bit of a UK and Californian contingency that watch as well. City of Sydney, if you head north from the city of Sydney, approximately probably 30 minutes in a car, you will hit the Northern Beaches. So we are governed by pretty much the Spit Bridge, which is a bridge that opens for boats to go under, a little fella. We go from the Spit Bridge all the way up to a place called Palm Beach. Now, that's internationally known for Summer Bay, the television show.
Yes.
And then we almost make a triangle. We almost go into Chatswood, but we go to Forestville and those sort of areas by another bridge. So there's a lot of bridges. So basically, we're sort of surrounded by water, whether it's beach, whether it's harbour, or whether it's a pit water. We're surrounded all around. It's quite beautiful.
We're pretty isolated, aren't we? A little bit from the rest of the world with that.
I forget about that. You know what I mean? Like I think when you're always on the ground and you're traveling the same routes, you forget about the natural beauty, but we really are. That pit water is just incredible, guys. If you ever have a chance and you haven't been on the waterway, the pit water, have a go. It's incredible. It'll even take you out to Central Coast if you go across it all the way from Palm Beach. And then you got the beautiful ocean out there. And then you got our beautiful harbour. So it's a pretty special place.
Beautiful. Catherine's on. Thanks, Catherine. Michael Edwards says it's God's country, and it is. We love it. Of course, we are biased, but we're trying to take a step back and sort of think why has Northern Beaches had such great capital growth for a very long time when we don't have those key fundamentals? And I think a bit of it is that sort of cultural lifestyle, to live by the water. I know when we've been quite resilient to the Asian market. I know when there was a big clampdown on foreign investment and some areas like Eastwood, Chatswood were really, really hammered, basically. Northern Beaches wasn't. And I know from a lot of the commercial dealings we do, they don't even really look at the Northern Beaches because it doesn't have those key infrastructures. So we didn't have big swings up and big swings down. We've just had steady growth. And a lot of the Asian market we have here, they're basically Australians. They're second, third generation. Basically anyone in Australia immigrated here. So I don't even call that sort of Northern Beaches Asian market foreign, because they've been here just as long as most immigrants to the Northern Beaches. So what's your key take on that, Mark? And what can people looking into the Northern Beaches, where's it's almost like that hidden value of why you would invest here? What's your sort of take?
Lack of land.
Yep.
I think that's a really big one, where the land's just really, really, really hard to come by in the area. So it's quite incredible that, you know, a lot of areas of Sydney, particularly around train lines, have been absolutely hammered with high density, 18 stories, 32 stories. A lot of parts of Sydney's around the airport have really copped it. So we haven't really had much density at all. And allow me to give you an example, because people may find this hard to believe, particularly the locals. When you drive through Dee Why, it appears there's been a lot of development. It actually appears Dee Why has been nailed, but it's not the case. It's not the case. So what it actually is we've had in Dee Why 8,600 units for 30 to 40 years. Now that number's actually changed. That number's changed now to 9,200. So all those 500 units that were built in the last 10 years and approved in the last 10 years have only been on the main road. So a lot of our locals are actually going, no, that's not right. We've had a lot of development, but we haven't. Now there's 100,000 properties on the Northern Beaches. Considering there's 100,000 properties on the Northern Beaches, to add 500 new units, not a big number.
Not a big number. And I think it's almost, it's hard to look at, but there's a lot of land actually, but I reckon almost 80% is reserve. It's Aboriginal land, it's rainforest. When you look at it, a lot of it, like where the housing is very, very small. So how can you, I'm trying to think of a way if someone's outside looking in to an area can see that. I suppose it's housing per kilometre. I'm sure there's a metric for it, but also the amount of approvals. So that's probably the easiest way to look at how many DAs and how many buildings are getting approved. And that would be a way to see that the Northern Beaches has held its value, because you're not getting 10,000 new properties every year coming into it. So the value stays there.
Yeah, and look, here's a big one, guys. If you're ever trying to understand value of property internationally, locally, anything, you've got to consider two key factors. One, its proximity to a city. Two, its proximity to water. Water being swimming, surfing, canoeing, whatever. If you are a suburb or a city that has great proximity to the CBD and great proximity to waterways or water, you're going to do very, very well. An example of that is Manly. Manly is an expensive suburb to live in. And it's an expensive suburb to live in because you can be on a ferry in 15 minutes, 17 minutes to the CBD. And then you're on the harbour, you're on the beach. So there's your secret, water and proximity to the city. So if you're trying to work out property prices, guys, any city in the world, remember those two key elements. They tie into property values everywhere.
Yes, and it can either, when you have those two fundamentals, you could look at somewhere else where they do a lot of approvals and a lot of building. It may be popular, but you may not have the capital growth because there's a lot of supply. And Northern Beaches have those two things, and they're not even running at capacity. Arguably, Northern Beaches probably has, or as I said, doesn't have the train line, and those basically roads to the city, they're not the most efficient. So I look at it this way: Northern Beaches has had great success, and we're probably at our worst as without infrastructure and transport. It can't get much worse. It only can get better, and it will get better with the tunnels, bridges, and transport like that. I would love to see more water transport. We've said it before, Mark. Like that could be utilised a lot more. when you look at other areas like eastern suburbs and Bondi, they do have a little bit higher price points. Arguably, I think Manly got the number one beach. So let's just go off last year. Not sure who did it. Maybe I did the voting, but Manly had the number one beach in Sydney.
Manly was voted a better beach than Bondi.
It was. But why? But Bondi's got a higher medium price in sort of surrounding. And it is that, I think it's very similar distance to the city, but the timing's a lot quicker because the access into it isn't as bad. So I just think the Northern Beaches has the potential to double it has been doubling over the next 10 years, but I believe it's got a lot more potential to do even further growth once those access points just become a lot more efficient. And you can't, because when you look at the map from us to the city, you're like, at nighttime, Mark, with no traffic, you do this drive every day. You can see it could be 30 minutes or it could be an hour and a half, that drive from the Northern Beaches in. And when that becomes 30 minutes or less every day at any time of the day, I think our prices are going to balloon.
Yep. And now, guys, don't forget that the big thing the big thing people are going to benefit from now is we have had a belting amount of money spent on the beaches. So we've had a $1 to $2 billion hospital.
Yes.
Well, probably the most impressive hospital at the moment, Australia-wide. It is the newest cutting edge of technology. It's phenomenal. One, that's huge for attracting doctors, nurses, patients to the area, people that just want a better quality of hospital. So that's big for us. Two, there was a $200 million upgrade done around that hospital, which was Warringah Road, which improved our transport system. Three, the Beeline bus was about $180 million that was spent there. So there was some serious money that's actually been spent on the Northern Beaches. If you consider all that stuff, that's probably closer to $2.5 billion of infrastructure spent on our area. That's bloody good. That's bloody good.
100%. And Michael Edwards says beaches have always been a lifestyle choice for residents in any market. Land appreciates, houses depreciate. That is very true. Very, very true. Where Luke says good infrastructure in the Northern Beaches, and I think we're probably seeing more progression in the last 5 years than we had in 20 years.
40 years. I don't think we have. Those hospitals that we were dealing with were over 50 years old, each of them. That's what we were sending our help, our needy to. So it's great to have that new facility.
And the tunnel is going to be a big thing as well. We know December last year, the government started sending out letters to residents in Lodge Lane, I believe it is, and surrounding streets, saying they're going to acquire the land so they can start with that production.
Okay, now that's going to be a big one for the beaches because if you have that trip to the city, remember what I said about the key values to properties? Proximity to water, proximity to a city. There you go. Proximity to the city just got better.
Yeah. And when that's probably going to be in the next 15 years, isn't that forecast, Mark? We haven't done one segment on that, have we? I think there's much.
They reckon 10. They reckon 10 over the next 10 years we could see it. So that's pretty incredible stuff. If we can pull that off, then that's bloody unbelievable. That's going to be a huge, huge infrastructure improvement.
And also with affordability as well, where a lot of people, I think, have the perception that it's not affordable to a certain degree. I know it's a bit of I think that comment can get some people going. But when you look at Northern Beaches and the proximity to the city and the water, the key thing, the water here, and you look at our entry level, Mark, we've got studios at 450,000, we've got one bedders at 450, 500,000. You can get into a townhouse from say $1 million, a house for 1.2, and then you jump out to other areas which probably would have been less desirable if you were to compare them to Northern Beaches, and they're at very similar levels, if not probably more expensive. So I think there is, I don't want to say false, but I think a lot of people think it's a lot more expensive than it is. But when you compare with other regions within the city pocket,
Yeah, like I've spoken to some people that are like out west, and I'm talking west, wild west, and
Yes.
when they talk about their property values of a nice house being 1.5 or 1.7, I'm like, whoa.
Yes.
You know, good friend of ours, Anmol, that's
yes,
we do business with. The hills area that she's in, like they are ripping $3 million for a house. You know, no water there, Very good transport to the city, but that's about it.
I know,
So I find that incredible.
And their commercial property is more expensive. I was like, to give you an idea, their office space is about 11,000 a square meter, where ours is 5. And their residential, as you said, like even some brand new house and lands around 1.5, which is very similar to us. So I don't think there's as big discrepancy. And Mel's normally on, and I think we'll like to get her on one morning to maybe have a chat about that.
Hey, just a quick on the beaches. Suburbs.
Yes.
5 seconds of Manly.
What do you mean? Just a quick wrap.
Tell us about Manly. Beach, harbour, coffees.
Done. Beach, harbour,
great restaurants. Expensive.
Yeah, affluent.
Queenscliff, next to Manly.
Very, very similar. Yeah, beach, harbour, not as much retail. A good stepping stone into Manly.
Walk to the stuff in Manly. Freshwater.
Yep.
So we're moving down the coast.
Yeah, very similar to Queenscliff.
Freshies, sexy,
more homes
sexy.
though, more housing, more families. Manly's a lot more mixed use, retail and apartments.
Spunky families in Freshie, right on the water. Got the hardboard diggers. Next one down, Curl.
Same houses, not many units, more families.
Expensive houses.
Very expensive, 2.5, 3.5.
No units.
DY. No unit. DY, lots of units. Sort of, DY in the last 3 years has changed from what it was 30 years ago. It's now basically a mini hub. Lots of beautiful home, good mixture, great entry level to the north. Well, it's not even that. It's on par with Freshie and Queenscliff for units.
Collaroy
start when you hit Northern Beaches. There's 2 parts of Northern Beaches, you would say, and there's basically up to Narrabeen and then Narrabeen North. So Collaroy is in that in between, a lot more homes, not much retail, super expensive. 2 markets within Collaroy.
2 markets. There's like a little micro market in Collaroy, which is on the beach.
Yes.
That's probably
Beach Road, isn't it?
Maybe
Beach Road.
That's probably the most expensive little area on the entire Northern Beaches than the rest of Collaroy, which is blended between the houses and units. Narrabeen?
Yeah. Narrabeen is that next sort of DY. It needs some new infrastructure, paint job sort of thing, but super affordable area. But then it's also got other
beautiful lake.
Beautiful,
the most stunning lake probably one of the most stunning lakes in Sydney, where you can enjoy fishing, boat,
undervalued,
canoeing. Undervalued. Has Wakers Parkway, which will chop up into Chatswood and Forest Way and St Ives. It's a blended between units and houses. Warriewood.
Young families. Used to be a lot of farm life, and it's all been rezoned.
Most affordable part of the Northern Beaches, I reckon, as well. Yes. Blended between houses, townhouses, new homes, little fellas on little blocks, and not many units.
Not many, but it's also probably the only place on the Northern Beaches that really has townhouses. So it's when people say I want townhomes,
that's where you go. So it's affordable again by that way. Mona Vale.
The next little CBD, you got Manly, DY, Mona Vale, nice little pocket. It's going through master plan very shortly, and good mixture of homes, entry level. You got homes there for 1.2, and you got homes for 4 mil, 5 mil.
So it's got a terrific amount of shops and Woolies and trans. It's where the Beeline bus finishes. So if you want to get rapid transport into Sydney, CBD, the last Northern Beaches cab off the rank's going to be Mona Vale for you.
Yes, and a lot of people, that's probably as far as they'll go if they're still working in the city. I find that's probably a lot of people's cutoff.
Yeah,
and
good
heading
point.
north is
Very good point. Okay, Newport.
Similar, a lot of retirees, a lot of homes.
Escaping the CBD.
Yeah, a lot of people go from Manly to Newport, Palm Beach just to sort of have a little getaway because it's close but not too close. It's getting more to that retiree. Very hilly. There's not much level land. A lot of, if you love bush and outlooks, you're heading that Newport. Then we go to Bayview. That sort of leafy outlook.
Avalon,
yeah, retirees. Really nice shops, fashion, cafes, lifestyle, cruisy. Beautiful homes from 1.5 to 10 million.
Hippie. A little bit hippie.
Yep, quieter.
It's got a bit of Nimbin in it.
Yeah, it's our equivalent.
Bit of Nimbin. It's the Northern Beach. It's yeah. I think if you really want to go bloody bush, coastal, that's Avalon's a bit of escapism. Escapism's the word.
Escapism's a good one. A lot of great walks, beach walks,
little shops, a lot of house, mostly houses, not many units. Palm Beach,
where you go to retire, or the ultra wealthy. It's its own little market, its own little world.
It's the Hamptons of Sydney.
It is. It's
1.5 hours from the CBD, maybe 1 and 15 if you're doing well. Homes of, $5, $10, $15 million, not a problem. Most homes seem to be, a lot of homes are not occupied there. They just have holidays, isolation, ISO. And then there seems to be the people that are just happy to work from home, done pretty well. I think there's a lot of money in Avalon, in Palm Beach.
Well, it's a lot of people's second home, isn't it? It's not their primary residence; it's a second property. And when you think of it, you got a second property that's 3, 5, 10 million. You're doing pretty well. Where do you reckon a lot of them live? Eastern suburbs, overseas. You're not generally traveling to the city every day. Well, you maybe not once a week, but
and ladies and gentlemen, that is the Northern Beaches. If you are considering that is why we love it, that is a little bit more about it. That is it with property prices. That's our take on the Northern Beaches of Sydney, Australia.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys, for watching. Back tomorrow morning.
Hey. See you guys. Bye. Beautiful weather. Blue skies.
Only on the Northern Beaches, though.
Only on the Northern Beaches. See you guys.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.